Good evening and welcome to the Star Chamber Show live podcast. It is a great Wednesday evening here in Lexington, Kentucky, where I, Stephen Zimmer, am broadcasting from. And joining me in the co hosting chair tonight for a great episode is the one, the only, the vivacious, the loquacious, the audacious Holly Phillippe. And she's running just about a minute or two behind. So she will be coming aboard here in just a moment. And of course, we're going to go through some updates for the Imaginarium convention that the Star Chamber Show, of course, is affiliated with. And then we are also going to give you a little bit on our sponsors, the folks that brought you tonight's show. And I think Holly just logged in. Holly, how are you doing?
I'm here. I was telling everybody in
Here.
the chat. I was telling everybody. Well, I'm barely here, but
I'm
yeah,
barely here.
I've been down for a couple of days, but yeah, I have COPD and we all got a cold, and my cold, of course, goes to my chest, and here we are, and so if I do pop off for a few and I go quiet, because I'm having a coughing fit, and I don't want to be on air and do that. So
Well, you sound good though, Holly. You do
I
sound good.
do.
So
I'm feeling
thank you
better.
for soldiering through. And it looks like we got a good group building up in the chat room. Award-winning screenwriter and author Carol Pre-Flattish. We got LJ Mack, and we also have, it looks like, Vamp Chat with Dan and Eva is in the house. So yeah, great podcast that we wholeheartedly endorse, and they got great episodes all the time. They're here on, by the way, on the Podbean platform as well. So be sure to check them out and give them a follow, and tell them you heard about them here on the Star Chamber Show, and that make us very happy. So,
Yeah.
but it's been quite a week. I tell you what, we have just been crushed with traffic on our website because last week, of course, we announced the Imagine Award finalists live on the air, and of course, since then, we've gotten that word out online and in the newsletter and everywhere else, and like Locust Magazine and others, picked that up and posted, and yeah, we've gotten just slammed with traffic. So it's
A
been
good
busy.
thing.
Got a lot of inquiries, a lot of new folks discovering us, and yeah, it's wonderful. So if you are checking into the show tonight for the first time, welcome. And yeah, this is a podcast for creatives, about creatives, and everything creative. And yes, it's part of the Imaginarium mission. And of course, after the live shows, we do distribute the next day to all the other platforms: YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, everywhere else. So check it out wherever
We're
like,
everywhere.
wherever you'd like to listen. And thank you for supporting the show, because yeah, it's definitely not as anyone in the creative world knows, nothing comes easy. It's everything's a
No.
project, so it's a little behind the scenes stuff and whatnot. But yeah, we're gonna have last week we of course we had a real long list of announcements, so it won't be quite that long tonight because we
Nope.
don't have all those finalists to announce. But my God, we got a lot of new folks to announce that we have added to our guest roster, and some amazing people too, I might add. So I'm going to go ahead and give these updates, and then Holly can comment on whatever she would like as far as new stuff. And but I'll go with this. We have coming to Imaginarium for the very first time historian, pattern drafter, and designer Dr. Constance Spots. And yes, you definitely want to talk to her if you want to talk about all the ins and outs of pattern design, costume design, and so forth, historically based costume design. I mean, she's going to be just an amazing guest for writers of anything historical, and also for anyone into cosplay or costume design, and filmmakers that are into costume design. This is, I mean, an absolute expert. And I mean, we're talking like, yes, she did work at the Smithsonian. I mean, just an amazing individual. And she's going to be joining us for the first time. And then also author, historian, game designer. He's also an attorney, Joe Eisenberg. We love Joe a lot, and he's going to be coming back to Imaginarium. Then I'm very excited. I've known this person for a long time. Actually, we both started out about the same time together on our publishing paths, and finally he's getting, after 12 years, to Imaginarium, so I'll have to roast him a little bit for that. But he is Jason Cordova, and he is an award-winning best-selling author, editor, and publisher. He's also an associate editor with Baen Books, so absolutely huge indie publishing success story, and yeah, a lot of folks will recognize the Bain Books name. Of course, you got a lot of great stuff, and yeah, military thriller, military fiction, lots of great stuff there. But Jason is an associate editor with Bain, and yeah, he's coming to Imaginarium. Then returning to Imaginarium after a little bit of an absence, and yes, is the wonderful, the man himself, artist, cover artist, author, comic creator, and filmmaker Glenn Porzig. Very excited about that. Yeah, he even did illustrations for top Star Wars trading card sets and Stranger Things' Topps trading card set. He's worked on Sci-Fi Channel specials, and just a great guy. Has over a 20-year production, had about over a 20-year production career in the video film area, and now he's doing dynamic book trailers and focusing on cover art for authors. So yeah, just a great guy with a wealth of knowledge and talent, and yeah, he'll be coming to Imaginarium as a spotlighted guest. Then we also have author, screenwriter, poet, musician, and talk show host J.L. Mulvihill, an absolute favorite of Holly and myself. And yeah, she's going to be coming back. I think yeah, after a year absence. I think she was here in 2023, but she will be back this summer. And then also author and comic creator Henry Vogel, who, interestingly enough, is very historical when it comes to the world of comics. He technically is, in factually, the first, probably the first professional online comic creator, because he had something on back on, I think it was Usenet back in 1984. So yeah, he actually is very historical when it comes to the world of comics and online comics. So yeah, great stuff. And yeah, he's got a slew of novels out as well. Then we also have, and these are two people who have never been to Imaginarium before. Author, editor, and publisher Stephen H. Provost. And he is coming from Nevada and is joining us for the very first time, and a very, very talented individual with a slew of releases under his belt. So Jeff, definitely check out his page on the Imaginarium site, read about him, and then author Tom Deedy, who is a Bram Stoker Award winner. But a great author who is going to be also attending Imaginarium for the very first time. And then we also announced today award-winning best-selling author and literary agent Stephanie Hansen is returning to Imaginarium. She wasn't here last year. She was here the year before, but I mean, she's amazing. I mean, she is, had #1 bestsellers on Amazon. She's won. She has won both the Pencraft and Global Book Awards. She was a finalist for an Imagine Award back in 2023. And she also, through her literary agency, represents authors and debut novels and has brokered deals with small presses, mid-sized publishers, major publishing houses, foreign publishers, game companies, and film producers. I mean, she's done it all as a literary agent, but she's going to be attending as a spotlighted guest. And so there you go. That's the just in the last week. Those are new guests that have all come aboard. You really need to read that guest roster. It is extensive now. It's got great, great people and just a wide array of just fantastic creatives that'll be in our programming, which you definitely want to check out as well. It keeps growing by the week. We're going to probably be adding some more new workshops and panels in the next day or two, so keep a lookout for that. And then last but not least, today we celebrated Michael Williams as our Imaginarium Writers Wednesday featured writer. Yes, Michael's one of the original Dragonlance novelists, of course, with novels like Weasel's Luck and Galen Benighted. And of course, now he writes in the mythical realism genre with the City Quartet. And he taught at the University of Louisville till 2022, and he has a PhD in humanities, where he focused on modern fantastic and fiction and film. Just a brilliant guy. Definitely an academic whiz and just great teacher. And he's going to be, of course, at Imaginarium spotlighted guest, and he is also one of the inaugural inductees of the Imagination Hall of Fame. So, yeah, we're definitely celebrating Michael Williams as well today. So, yeah, that's a lot of updates, Holly. That's not too bad for a few days. So, I think Holly is going to be is off doing a little bit of that coughing thing that she told about. So yes, we got to watch that when we're doing the live shows. So, But I will go ahead and get into the folks that brought you tonight's show, and tonight that is Per Bostet Publications, and also the amazing Sandy Lender, the genre blender, and then we'll give you a little bit about Spirited Giving. Of course, that's coming up in about a little over a week here with the fine folks at AuthorCon Scares That Care. And of course, you heard a lot about that on last week's episode featuring Rebecca Cuthbert. We were joined by DM Gay on that. A great conversation. So if you haven't heard last week's episode, definitely give that a look, and I'll give you a lot of information about this great charity event. But you hear a little bit about it tonight. But first, Sandy Lender, the genre blender. Here we go.
Are you a creative person working a 9-to-5 job to survive? Let's look at how to keep your energy and joy alive with the new motivational business book, Capture Your Dream, from author Sandy Lender. In Capture Your Dream, Sandy offers stories, lessons, inspiration, SWOT analysis, goal stacking strategies, and more to help you map your plan to achieve a dream job or side hustle. As a creative herself, Sandy knows it takes compromise and commitment to keep the day job to survive while chasing the dream to thrive. Assess your dragon score. Learn more about Capture Your Dream at AuthorSandyLender.com.
And thank you very much, Sandy. And Sandy just celebrated her 500th episode on the Sandy Says Read channel on YouTube, her BookTube channel. Great BookTube channel, and it's growing, and she posts all the time on it. Give it a follow. And, if you leave a note there, mention that you heard about her on the Star Chamber show. So, yes, Sandy is awesome. And so, yes, we're going to go over to the fine folks now at Per Bostet Publications. Per Bostet Publications is a small press based in the Louisville metro area, specializing in speculative fiction and other outside the box books. With 40 titles in print and ebook formats and a handful of audiobooks, Per Bostet offers a little bit of everything. Check out Frenemies in Space, Marian Allen's new science fiction short story collection featuring return character Smartmouth Connie Phelan. Or try Michael Dabney's latest David Blaze mystery, A Deadly Game, a prequel set in 1984 Philly. You can find these titles and more at perbostetpublications.com, at Amazon, or you can find the press in person at Kentucky and Indiana book fairs and conventions. Per Bostet Publications, where timeless tales unfold. Big salute and shout out to Teely Harris, Marian Allen, and Sarah Marian, the literary triumvirate, as I love to call them. They are just great people. And so, yes, and last but not least, we will give you a little bit about Spirited Giving. Just an amazing thing. So check it out.
The Spirited Giving fundraiser returns on Thursday, March 27th, as part of AuthorCon 5 in Williamsburg, Virginia, featuring author readings from Jamie Flanagan, Brian Keene, DM Gay, and Rebecca Cuthbert, as well as a live performance of the epic podcast series, The Midnight Pals. All proceeds go directly to Scares That Care, a 501c3 nonprofit that has raised and donated over $300,000 to burn victims, women fighting breast cancer, and families with a child affected by illness. Check out spirited-giving.com for more information. Spirited Giving. It's gonna be one hell of a night.
Great organizations. Thank you to James Sabata for that little bit, that we've been playing for you in the last several weeks. Definitely, it's something we endorse wholeheartedly, and we encourage you to support. So, yes, I'll check in. Let me see if Holly is ready to go here. Hey, Holly, are you ready to go? Or are you still
I'm
coughing?
here. I am
Okay,
actually I'm tornado chasing right now. That's what I was.
tornado chick. Okay,
There's
yes,
a
we do
there's
have.
a tornado warning. If you all know me, you know my love of weather, and I will sit and watch it for hours if there's tornadoes because well, I love them. I just don't like them hurting people. But there is a tornado warning for North Vernon, Indiana right now. So that's our grandkids is that live with us. Other grandparents live there, and it's just radar
Keep an eye.
indicated. But there is a bad line of storms coming around the Louisville area, Cincy area,
Yeah.
southeastern Indiana. So be prepared, not scared. So eyes to the
Well,
sky the next hour or so.
as a great segue to that, we do have our guest on deck from Louisville, oddly
There you
enough.
go.
And so we're going to go right into the introduction, and hopefully we won't get any connection disruptions because I'm very excited to,
We're good.
and Holly is too. We are excited because it's been a little while since we've had tonight's guest on, and he has been a guest at the Imaginarium convention before, and I've had the privilege of working with him on some projects. But tonight's guest is an author and entrepreneur. He has a great life story that I'm sure we're going to get into a little bit tonight, and he is the author of books such as The African in America, I Must Succeed, and Nothing is Ever New. And so tonight he'll be talking about his book's creative journey, his motivational movement, and so much more. And so it's my honor and pleasure to bring aboard back to the Star Chamber show again, the one, the only, Nini Mohamed. And here he is. Hey, Nini, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for welcoming me
You
for
bet.
this
You bet. And I
podcast.
and I have a hunch that our mutual friend Brett Campbell is listening somewhere, so I want to give him a shout out because yeah, he's great. Yeah, tabletop war gamer. He's an author and just a great all around guy. Rare book collector too, which I think is fascinating. But he's a mutual friend of Nini's and mine, and I know he's listening. So I give him a shout out. But Holly and I are just glad to have you back. I mean, it is great. So, how have you been, man? Yeah, bring us
Yeah.
up to speed a little bit.
I've been really good. I admire you guys. I'm always following you. I'm always reading your posts and stuff.
You
Like
too. We're the best.
I'm I'm I'm
Yes.
actually really fascinated about like how many books you guys have written, and it's like mind blowing for me. And I did, so publishing my first book, and then now I mean my third one. I felt like I have accomplished a lot, but when I see like other people are writing 200 books, what 50 books, I'm like, what? You
You'll get you'll get there. And,
You'll get there.
oh my God!
You'll
And
you'll get there.
I mean, you are on a roll. I mean, you've released some great books. You've got your apparel, you've got your African and American movements, and it's amazing because I mean, I know you. I know you, and so I want people to know your story. I mean, of course, you grew up in a war refugee camp in Kenya, and then you came
Yeah.
over, immigrated to America, and of course, came up and have done so much here, and your movement is such a positive one. And if you read your books, what I love about your books is each one of them is motivational in nature. They really are, and they're nonfiction. And you tell your story in each of the books. You tell a lot of your life story, and I know that someday we're going to see a full biography on you. But it is neat that in the three books we get to learn about you and your story because it's an amazing one and it definitely in is a part of why you've done all this that you've accomplished, and you're so self-determined and self-motivated, and you want to pass that positivity on, and you're always, and I love it. We follow you online and see all the great
Yes.
work you're doing in coaching kids in soccer and all the cool stuff you're doing, and the positive stuff with your movement. And so yeah, we salute you. I mean, you're impressive too. So yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Stephen. I'm really honored, to be honest, to have you invited me this podcast. I just started like a family podcast myself with my brothers and sisters, and
Yes.
it's all about just like
Yeah.
it, spreading positive vibes into our communities, and how we can support each other. Just starting with your family and stuff, and all these things for me is it started with just like with my family, but at the same time, I'm always looking at everybody else around me as a family, because like your neighbor, your community, and then the people around the world, because like whenever you go somewhere else, you want everybody else to look at you as like some form of like a family. It doesn't, family is not just to who you were born with or raised with. It's about building a family yourself as well. So with that podcast is just like to inspire people and motivate, and hopefully like those families who are having like a kind of problems, and like they can watch our podcast, and hopefully they can work their family issues like that. And for me, like the the movement of the African in America, it began. I don't know if you read my book, The African in America, but it began in high school. You know,
Mhm.
it actually began like when I landed in the United States, but when I was in high school, like I started seeing it more. So it's all about uh, it was all about like to bridge the gap between African immigrants and African Americans, because we have so many misunderstanding, miscommunication. We have that in our communities, and I just thought like the African in America, which is like starting from me, I can at least bridge some of the gaps in my side, and then hopefully take over like that, and then inspire everybody else to get involved in the movement, and then help people out like that. And that's where the youth and stuff comes from, the sports comes from. It all just one big movement working together. That's what it is.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
that's what we refer to it. We always tell people we refer to it as find your tribe. Surround yourself with positive people, people that are going to work with you to not tear you down, but to lift you up, and you work together. And it's beautiful to find that. And you're right, not all family is blood. That's for sure. And I think you've got uh, a great group that has surrounded you. And I do enjoy your podcast. I loved seeing your personalities with your different personalities with your siblings. I love it. I sit here and chuckle, and I just think it's great that you guys
You
can
haven't seen yet. You
laugh
haven't seen.
and
You
get along like that.
you haven't seen everybody yet. Why? Just wait and wait, and you will see a lot. You will see a lot in that podcast. We just, like I say, we just the beginning of it. So it's like we're still trying to figure it out. Like on top of that, like we trying to have topics, rolling at the same time, like content and stuff like that.
Right,
But
right,
with the book, The African in America, is like I'm an entrepreneur. Like I'm a big dreamer. I think Stephen, when I first spoke to you, I told you that like I'm trying to take over the world. I'm not trying to have my book. Like I'm trying to inspire the world, and not just like in a small community, and just stay like that. you know at some point, like sometimes in my life, like I felt like Louisville is too small for me. Like Kentucky in general is like, sometimes I tell myself like I belong in like a big stage. Like I constantly talk to myself like that. I belong in a big stage because I want my message, everybody to hear my message. And that's what keeps me going. Is like I got to do it, even the days that I feel like I don't want to post anything, or I don't want to record a videos. Like, then I don't think about myself. I think about like, okay, but there are people who you could inspire today, or like there are people who are like looking up to you. So if it's not for you, at least do it for those who are like probably going through worse than you. So that's
right.
what keeps me motivated, and all.
And I think the thing about you that's really interesting is you came from, like I mentioned earlier. I mean, you grew up in a war refugee camp, and so you came. I mean, you were a self starter. You had to be self motivated. It was,
Right,
your road is a lot more difficult than most people by far, that are born in America would ever have faced. And you see that when you look at your stories and the kind of things, way you describe how life was there, and versus how things are when you come here, and some of the hurdles, of course you had to come through as an immigrant in America, and then of course language barriers and things like that. You do share a lot of those stories, but the thing that I love that comes through with you is just being the self starter, developing the personal work ethic, being driven to succeed. There's just so much positive stuff that everybody can draw from and relate to, even if they haven't gone through, the challenges that you did, but you really bring it out in a way that anybody can draw from, and it really appeals to anybody out there. It's a healthy message, and I think that's one of the coolest things about reading any of your books, not just the African American, but I Must Succeed and Nothing Is Ever New. You do get those, you get those themes in all of them. I mean, it's a very consistent message from you: work ethic, self motivation, not making excuses, really, going at it hard, and then being
Well,
ambitious, having big dreams, and it's okay to do that. It's
that's right.
very, yeah, it's all driven off the
And I
positive.
also I also love that you share information about your religion and your belief systems, and so people can understand it better, and not look at it with cloudy lenses. You explain things, and I think that's wonderful.
Mhm.
Thank you. Like you, uh, I feel like I feel honored. I mean, just speaking to you guys like is a big thing for me. Because I look up to you guys as well. Again, I said, like I said, I watch everything about you guys. And what you said, like Stephen, is true. Like to I came from refugee camp where like I barely had like anything. Like education wasn't there. Education was there, but it's not like education that will get you anywhere. And I never really actually went to school in Kenya. I always felt like, hey, I'm gonna go to United States and I'm gonna make something out of myself. You know, I always believed that as a kid. I watched like movies, videos and stuff. So when we were in a refugee, like I remember, like sometimes like we go days, like we have like not enough water. The food is like limited. Everything is just like so difficult to get. So basically, when you get, like, for me to eat rice was like a blessing. Like when I was in a refugee at that time, like when you had rice for the night, it was like, wow. You talk about it the next day with your friends. You're like, hey guys, you know what I did last night? What do you do? We ate rice. And like that was like the topic the whole day, you know. And then you come over here, you can eat rice every day basically. And I'm like, I started thinking like, hey, I can I'm not taking this for granted. Like, everybody comes to this country obviously for the opportunity wise. Like, everybody's searching for like the American dream, as you call it. Even though sometimes we wake up in a nightmare, but we still like those who are determined will make something happen for themselves. And it's not easy. It's really not easy. I don't know if Brent is here listening to us, but when I started working at the seven counties, like I spoke to Brent many times. Like I always had that belief. I was like, hey Brent, I'm about to publish my book. Hey Brent, I'm about to publish another book. And then he got inspired by me because every single time I go to work, the only thing I talked about was the African in America. And he's like, and then Brent was like, hey, I always wanted to write a book myself. Like, I'm gonna have to, like, you inspired me. And then next thing you know, Brent is like surpassing me. He's writing three books. I'm like, literally, like he wrote three books before I even published my second book, you know, and and now the person that I inspired, he inspiring me. So I was like, I have to step up again.
You could
So
step it up.
I love that, you know. I I love that about like when I go to, and it's not just the Brent, like there's a couple other people that were we worked together and stuff like we all inspired each other. Like I inspired them in so many ways, and then they inspire me in so many. Even though they don't know that they're inspiring me, because they always tell me like, "Oh, Nini, like you the one inspiring us." I'm like, "No, you guys are inspiring me," you know. And then whenever I have a question about stuff, I always talk to them. Whenever I have like some kind of statement, I will sit with them and like, hey, what do you guys think about this? And then they'll give me their ideas and input and opinion and stuff, and I'll listen. And then like basically like they are like a friend, but at the same time like a parenting and a mentor, like all
Mentor,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, so they are like mentoring me, and like I'm in on all kinds of ways. So, and when I see them doing good, I feel like, hey, like I am genuinely happy to see them like finally become an author, like, because they, when you talk about it, it's another thing than when you do it. So I felt that, like, I have a lot. Basically, I have a lot to offer in this world, not just to, like, and I don't want to sleep on my own talent. I don't want to sleep on that's why I'm right now, I'm studying grad school right now. I go to UVL for my master's degree in social work, and it's just to get more knowledge and understand the culture of, like, mental health, and how to what kind of book can I come up with to help people in the world of mental health and stress and depression and all that other stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, and
It's amazing.
your story is one of action, and it's not. Yeah, and Brent is definitely somebody I think that you definitely had a very positive influence on, and there are others that I'm aware of, like Saeed Osman, who has gone on and done several
Yeah.
books too, and I think you inspired him quite a bit too. Great
Yes.
guy. He's a mutual buddy of ours, and yeah, he even called a bookstore I was doing a signing at just to say hi to me when I was when I was doing some bookstore appearances. But yeah, just a great guy. But he also, I mean, I feel he reflects that the effect that you've had on other people. But the recurring theme in all that you're doing is, yeah, taking action. Even if you're facing a lot of struggles and a lot of hurdles and a lot of or you're going through some poverty, things like that. But everything you do is about taking steps, action. That's the a driving theme. Would you say that's accurate? Because I see that in all your messages about
Yes.
doing. Yeah,
Yeah.
not just
One
talking.
hundred. 100% accurate. Because I remember I told Brent, like, because we were talking. I said, Brent, why don't you just do it? He's like, but no. I said, just go do it. Like, right at, I will hook you up with a Steve. He's gonna help you out at the end. Just go and do it. Because that's my philosophy. For me, like, even though that's like a lot of people say these things, but like I took it, like, for my own way of, like, handling and overcoming things. So I when I was in a refugee camp, I always had this mentality where, like, hey, like, I don't want to sit home and, like, even though we don't have food and we don't have water and we don't have all this stuff, I don't want to be the one that's, like, sitting home and waiting for my parents to provide for us. You know, I wanted to actually go, and I would go like hours, and, like, sometimes I won't be home until like 9, 10 p.m. at night. So I'm used to doing the stuff all day long. I never really found myself, like, in a like, hey, like, I got a lot of work to do. It's a stressful, like, I don't even believe in a stress. Like, I told my one of my teachers last semester, I said, stress doesn't exist. Like, for me, I told them. They were like, everybody in class was shocked with me saying that. They were like, what are you talking about, Nini? I told them, stress doesn't exist. And then I didn't even know I was right. The teacher told me I was right. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I thought, like, I was just like, it was my thing. But in reality, it's actually true. Stress is something that we create for ourselves. It doesn't really exist. If you bring it into existence, then it will happen. And I was like, wow, like, I didn't even know that. But that was like my number one philosophy for me. So
Mhm.
in the refugee, I worked for my when my mom was sick. My mom was sick for like 2 years. I would have cooked, I would have cleaned. I'm only like 9 years old, 10 years old, 11 years old. Like, I'm doing all these things, like what, like, normal kid in United States wouldn't even think about doing. So when we came to United States, I told myself, I'm gonna keep this work ethic the same way. And I also obviously read a lot of things, like, okay, if you hang out with the wrong people, you're gonna go to jail. If you start, you can easily end up being in a gang, or you can, because I passed through all that, because when I lived in this place called in the one of the neighborhoods, I lived in this place called Park Hill, where like I have seen so many of my friends, they go into like a gang, a lot of them like, end up when going to jail, and like basically we never hear from them after that. Like
Right.
I have I have family members like that disappeared because, kids, they grow up, they get into themselves bad stuff, and then boom, left. Then I'm like the only one, like one of the only ones that like really like positive, really pushing, really going to school still, writing books. So every other person that was like that right now, that knows me, they say like, we don't know like how is Nini doing this, and some of them, they can, if they watching this podcast, they can, confirm that them to themselves, like they it's like I am a motivation, if it's not to them but to their kids. Does that
Ugh.
make sense?
Yes.
So
You are a positive influence, and you were just born with this drive, and you're also looking at it because you grew up in very different circumstances. Things wasn't handed to you. You had to
right,
work for them, and it wasn't, you're not even thinking about stress. I get it, because that's not something even discussed. You're just living day to day. It's normal
right,
life, and you do what you got to do, right? You don't even think
right,
about it. Yeah,
right. Yeah,
I
that's
get it.
that's that's definitely true. Like, when you have to basically just work for everything. I mean, we all work for everything, but like just this drive of like, you don't have time to stress, because if you stress, you're gonna be hungry. Like, would you wanna go get some food, or wanna sit home and stress about like how life is? Because
Right,
that would be, we didn't even understand these things until like we came to United States. And in the United
right.
States, there's it has its own difficulty, its own difficulty. So
Oh yeah, that's anywhere. But as I said, you're looking at it through a whole different lens, and that made you more driven, and it gives you a different perspective that you can share with people and be like, hey, listen, your life is not so bad. Get out of your headspace, get out there. You got to put
Mhm,
yourself out there. You got to be proactive, and people
mhm,
need that. They need that
mhm.
fire lit under them, and I think it's great that you're out there doing that.
that's 100% true what you said, because what it is like, I when I wrote the African in America, I was this is high school, so I'm looking at everybody like I'm being made fun of. People are like, I'm being bullied, even though like people couldn't really bully me, but I felt like I was bullied, because when you don't speak English, like you really don't know what the person is saying to you, and you can't really fight anybody, because if you fight, you're gonna what is it called, like they put you in this room. What was that called? Uh,
Detention? Like
yeah,
detention?
you've
Yeah.
been put in detention, and I'm the type of student where like I don't want to be put in detention, because I came to this school to learn. So
Right.
the idea of me going to detention was like, it was like a no-no.
Mhm,
So every time I felt like somebody was bullying me, I would go to the principal. I would tell him. I even got like like I still have this. I got a student of the month several times in my high school. Like it's like they were like you have to meet certain things to become a student of the month, and I was like
Right.
one of the students who have got like 5 times of a student of the month. And I didn't at that time. I didn't really make it. I didn't think it was a big deal. But when I grew up and I started reading, because at that time I couldn't really read a lot, so
Mhm.
they gave me paper. I took it. I just gave it to my dad, and then my dad looks at it like, "What is this?" I said, "I don't know. The principal gave it to me." So so So, like, Stephen, like, can you believe even when I went to college, because imagine this: you came to United States, you went straight to high school, you don't speak English, you can't read, you can't write, and and the only thing you know is probably how to say like my name is Nini,
Hmm.
and then you only went there for 4 years, and then you graduated, you go into college.
Hmm. Yeah,
It's
Mm.
it's
that's
amazing.
It's mind
But
blowing. It is mind blowing. And you even I have to bring this up and I want to know a little bit of the conversation because you met one of my heroes and I affectionately call him Daddy Andy, but that's our great governor Andy Bashir. And I have got to hear this story about how this came to be and what you discussed with him. I think this is so cool that you got to share the movement with Andy.
uh it's a long story because like when we have I am in partnership with so many different leaders in the community, like
Hmm.
Louisville City is one of them. Louisville City Foundation was one of them. The Somali community, one of them. YMCA. Is so many other people, other leaders in Louisville that like I personally like friends with, like just we just know each other. So whenever event and things is happening, they always invite me. So when we went to this event, it was like iftar event, and I was there, and like the governor was there. We already know like this is the event where like they give awards to all the people that are like doing good things in the state in Louisville. So we were one of those people, so like, to get invited to go to that event, and the governor was there. So when I met with him, we started talking there. We started talking, and then I started like a conversation with him where like telling him this is the African in America, and this is what I do. And those guys, like they always have like officers in around. They always have like security guard and police officers around them. So
Oh
it's like
yeah,
you gotta be like your conversation can't take too long. You gotta
right.
you got yeah, you gotta have what is it called, like you gotta make everything so quick for them, so
Yeah,
that way
like an
like
elevator pitch. Got to do it
yeah,
fast.
yes. And then from there on, like you get to build that connection. And then when I finished our conversation, I met with his secretary. The secretary is like,
Yeah,
hey, get get him together with everybody, talk to my secretary, and then that was it. But like other than that, it was like it's like this relationship where like, hey, like he's doing a lot of things in Kentucky. There's a
yes,
lot we go through in our cities and different counties and stuff like that. And
right.
I just like, you know I'm inspired by uh them who are doing those kind of work that I am also doing, even though we are like, what is it called? We are like the roots, we like the roots, and they're like on top of us. So like
Right.
they much watching over what we do, or maybe they are the one who is giving us like the fundings and stuff to do the things that we do in our cities and in our communities. So that was really inspiring for me to see him there. But other than that,
That's
it was just
amazing.
just like a lot of great people coming together at that dinner. And when you are around people like that, you really can't mess up.
I'm sure you did great because you
yeah.
you are a people person, and I've seen you at Imaginarium with people, and you've always been great, and I'm just glad you have got to share the movement. Though they're going to remember you, they're going to remember the story because yours is unique and the message that you're pushing is unique. So uh, you're going to be remembered, and you're going to do big things. I see
Mhm.
that in your future, Nina. You're going to do big things, and you're going to get your movement, and you don't need to be in a big city because you know what, you are a
Uh,
big personality, and you can reach all the big cities, just from the computer, or going to different conventions and traveling, and doing speaking
Mhm.
arrangements and all of that and sharing. So yeah, your message is going to get out there
And
one way or the other.
and I'd say not just big cities, but also all across the rural areas too, because a lot
Yes.
of rural kids need to hear his movement because a lot of kids that live in rural communities deal with a lot of poverty. They deal with a lot of drug issues, a lot of really awful stuff. And so even the kids in the rural areas, it would benefit mightily from the kind of message that Nini has. And so, yeah, I mean, there's not any place, whether he goes to a small town, a big town, a city. I mean, it's valuable for all of that.
Yes.
And there's a wisdom to what he's talking about too. And I want to point out, like his book, Nothing Is Ever New. There's a great wisdom in that one because he really points out how the problems that people face from generation to generation. Sometimes they take on a little different flavor. The terminology might be a
Uh-huh.
little different. The
Hmm.
setting of the time period might be a little different. So it might be couched in a different way. But really, the problems, the things that people go through, nothing is new. Everybody goes through from generation to generation similar forms of the same kind of problems and challenges. And so
That's
there's a
right.
real wisdom in what he brings to this. And so his message is not just for like youth, but also for people of any age.
Right.
And it's a he has a very wise perspective on that, and which I loved when I read that book. Nothing is ever new. Yeah, it really brings that home. Yeah, that kind of idea.
Okay,
So
so when I wrote the book, Nothing Has Ever Known, it was actually like I was uh first of all, before I wrote the I Must Succeed book, right?
mhm.
I don't know if I told you this, but I had the African in America book, right? I actually had the second book of the African in America. I
Yeah,
was
second
writing.
edition. Yeah, the
Yeah, the
second
second,
edition.
yeah, not the second edition, but the second part of the book. So
Okay.
because the second edition is the one that's already published. So 'cause it says the African in America second edition, right? So then you got
Mhm.
the second part of like that book. So I was writing that book to follow up with this second edition. But I wrote 200 pages is what I wrote in my computer. So I know in books it'll be different, but I wrote 200 pages. And every single time I go to work, I'm in my laptop, I'm writing the book, I'm writing. So what happened was I have a cat, like I have two cats, right? So I had my flash drive in the laptop, and then my laptop was on top of it, on top of my desktop.
Mhm.
So my cat was jumping around, and then my cat jumped on my laptop, and the laptop falls down, and then it
Oh,
landed right where the flash, like the way the flash drive, is sticking out. It landed on the floor like that, bang, and then it crashed everything. Like,
Oh
oh,
no.
and the crazy thing is, I didn't save it under the computer or nothing like that because I was walking around with that flash drive everywhere I go. So I
oh,
lost, I lost that whole book. I was so like I don't even know what I was going through. My mind was like, oh my, like I didn't even know what to say. So I I picked up my cat. I'm yelling at my cat. I'm like, what did you do? What? I was trying to cry and like trying to upset. I don't know
Oh
what
no.
because it took me you gotta understand, like after this was after I finished this book, like was out, and I'm like I was so excited. I was like I'm thinking like, okay, this book is going to even be better than the African in America book, so it's going to be like it's to bridge which will the storyline, and when the cat did that, I went everywhere to fix that flash drive. Like I've been to so many different places, and they all told me this is done. Like we cannot fix it.
oh,
One place
Oh
they
wow.
they told me I have to ship it to the people that live, like the people who created this flash drive, for you to get it back. I was like,
huh.
how am I gonna find this people?
Mhm.
You gotta ship it to them, find their address, and ship it back to them, and maybe they can regenerate. That's
Mhm.
what they told. But with that when that happened, I lost appetite of like writing. Like I'm like, man, like my
Oh,
whole project of my second book is ruined by my cat, and I couldn't do anything. The cat is like looking at me, staring at me. I'm like,
Oh
like
oh,
what?
oh
Yeah, we
Oh,
have 3 cats. We know how they can be. Yeah, and they look at you like, "What? I didn't do nothing. Why are you
you
looking at
nothing.
me like that?"
I was so I didn't know
Oh,
what kind of emotions that I was going through, but I was like, okay, Nini, it's okay. It's only a work. You can work on another thing. I had to
mm,
like set out for like couple of months before I started writing the book. I must succeed, and that's when I started the book. I started writing the book. I must succeed. Like to this day, like I still have the flash drive. What is it called? The remaining pieces of the flash drive, because
Mhm.
every time I look at it, I was like, oh, I just lost a piece. So I haven't even
oh,
started writing that book because, like, when you put all the energy to that, now you gotta restart everything.
right,
So
Mhm.
that's where that's where I'm at. And then when I wrote the book, nothing is ever new. It just comes. It's just I just started feeling like this is natural. Like imagine like you go like you deal with like different people. You go to different communities. I even travel to different countries, right? So
Mhm.
everywhere I go, we have the same problems. It's just different environment, different people. Like it's just the same. Like you go to like you live here and you go to Argentina, people are facing the same problem. It's just different. Like it's just like from a standpoint, like a relationship problem, family problem, like everything is just the same. The only thing that's different, like for us, is like generation to come, like we just live in a different, like we may live in a world where like technology is ruled, but the problem is still the same. Like
right,
we just have more ways of dealing with it, but that doesn't mean everything is like new. It's just the same thing we dealing with years and years. Like for example, war always happened.
right,
People always die from disease. Someone always had a heart attack. Marriage is always broken by family argument and all this stuff. It's the same. People have faced the same thing years and years, and I feel like as I feel like nothing is gonna be different. It's just gonna be like we may have flying cars, we may have flying cars in the future and stuff like that. But the thing we deal with is gonna be probably the same thing. It's just gonna be a different level to that. So
right,
that's what inspired me. Like, and I was like, I'm gonna call my book "Nothing Is Ever New" because everything I have faced with so far, it's like when I'm dealing with different people, they also facing the same thing I faced like 5 years ago or 2 years ago. Like this, especially with the youth, like when you're working with the kids, they facing the same problem you faced when you were a kid. And now you're trying to tell them, hey, relax, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be fine. You're gonna be like you're gonna grow up and learn from this. But mind you, you were facing the same thing when you were a
right.
kid. So,
Yeah, because
so
it's all the human nature, you know? Yeah,
yes,
Mhm.
but and it's always good, like even though people are aware of this, they know about this, but nobody really talks about it. So I was
Mhm.
like, you know what? Even if people know about this, nothing is ever new. I gotta remind them, nothing is ever new. So that's how my book, "Nothing Is Ever New," it's ever new, come to play.
Yeah.
And and another thing is like as me coming from in the refugee, is like we're not taught a lot of things, like biases and all that. Like we are taught just to speak, like to speak. Don't be scared of anything. Don't be like, because what worse can it happen. But when we come to United States, like you gotta be careful what you say. You may have people that are so sensitive, they may attack you in so many different ways. Right now the internet, like, since I'm like an influencer or like motivator or someone who inspires others, I can't just go into my Facebook and just put negative stuff you know
Mhm.
then then it will be like, what happened to Nini? Like, so now now you're gonna get questioned. So
Mhm.
I feel like people in general, we just like we are designed to influence each other, and no one gets anywhere without someone helping them. Steve, remember like when I send you my book. I'd say, hey, can you read? Can you show me? Can you edit this book for me? I even wanted to send you my book, The African in America, to redo it again. I don't know. We
Yep.
didn't follow through that, but I told you that I need to redo this book.
Well, well, not yet. Yeah, but you and I have gotten to work on the other two, and it's been amazing. And then reading the African America, I mean, like I said, just getting a good sense of your story and what you've done. I mean, it's great. It's the very biographical element in each of these books, and that's what I love about them. You really
Thank
do
you,
give a
thank you,
sense of
thank
that.
you.
Yeah, so it's like you're not just giving a self motivate or a motivational book. I mean, it shows that you walk the walk. The things you're talking about, you've lived, you've done,
Yes,
and
yes,
you
yes.
practice what you preach.
What you preached.
And yeah, and that's that's
Yeah.
that's the key to it. I mean, it's got authenticity, and
You're
that's what I
right.
love. Yeah,
You
that's
practice what you.
yeah. And I can't wait to see what's ahead. I mean, I'm curious what is next for you. What is coming up for you, either book wise or Holly mentioned. Of course, you got the podcast with your family. What's coming up for you in terms of Nini? It's creatively.
Uh, it's right now. Remember, I don't know if I speak to you, but I'm going to school right now. I'm just pretty much observing what the master's program. So I'm learning. This is where my next book is going to come. I already started writing. I'm actually working on four different books. If you don't believe it or not, like I'm literally working on four different books.
I
I'll take
believe it.
day by day. I'm work one on this week, the other one the next week, something like that. So one of the books that I'm working on is called it's about relationship and love. uh I'm speaking about love in a way, the way I was raised and I was showing love, right?
Hmm.
And then coming to United States, the way I see people like are raised in terms of like love, showing love to their partner or to their friends or to others. So that's what is this book is about. And then what is love actually mean or is in its true nature, right?
Hmm.
Because we all have different ideas and opinion and whatever you want to call it about the way things are or the way we see things, and I try to at the school, I try to understand, you know other people's perspective. That's why I when I'm writing a book, I never just write it because it's like, oh, is this coming from me, da, da, da. Like, I literally talk to different people. Hey, what do you think about this, and then they talk to me, and then they say, okay, okay, that matches my idea. Okay, let me ask somebody else about what they think, because then if I get like four or five, it's like doing research. It's like if I can get four or five, six people that are knowledgeable people, and if what I'm doing is they confirm it, I'm like, okay, and then I'm doing something right. So that's one of the book. The other book is called Random Random Thoughts.
Hmm.
So this book, I don't know. I never really. I'm pretty sure there is a books that are out there like that, but I didn't actually seen one. Have you heard of a book that's called Random Thoughts?
No,
Hmm. No, not that I know of.
not
Oh,
offhand.
So
No.
yeah, not offhand.
I try to look up, and I think I seen stuff, but it's not like the one like. So Random Thoughts is like, I'm basically recording every single day of my, like, every single thoughts that come into my mind.
Oh,
Like,
cool.
Oh,
so it's like, if, like, I'll be flying in a plane, right? And if
Hmm.
a thoughts come into my mind, like, it's like, this is like it could be something like, man, why am I even flying in this plane? Where, like, what's the purpose? Like, things like that. Like, something comes into my mind, and then something like, okay, why are we even fighting? Or why am I, things like this. So when the thoughts come into my mind, I I have my note. I just write it, and then when I write the thoughts, right, then I will write down what I was doing the time the thoughts come into my head. Does that make
Hmm.
sense?
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So it's
it's
kind of
like,
like a diary of stream of consciousness, but
yes,
it's
Yeah.
organized by by context of what you're doing when those thoughts come.
Come, yes, there you
Yeah.
go. So it's like I'll be in a car and then like I'm just staring at the road, and then something comes to my head, and I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, and then I'll take that and I write it down, and then I'll talk about what I was doing when this thought came to my head.
Well, that's
So
actually fascinating,
That's
and
cool.
a
Yeah.
lot of psychiatrists and psychologists would probably love to read that, and
Yeah.
the medical digest and all that, because we all have these random thoughts, and what triggers one thought to another? Are our random thoughts
right,
similar from person
ye-
to person? And
ye-
are the triggers similar to the thoughts that you're having? And yeah, that's actually fascinating.
that's exactly what I am working on. I because I was looking through it. I was trying to find anybody who done that, but I didn't really see anything. Maybe I didn't search long on hard enough. Maybe, but as far as I know, I did not see any yet. I'm pretty sure there will be some out there. But and I'm not only writing down what I was doing. I'm also writing down the dates, the time, and the year.
Oh,
Mhm.
nice.
Like
So you could
the
see, yeah, because then later down the road, people would be like, "Oh yeah, this is what was going on,
this
politically at this time, or climate, or whatever." And
Mhm.
exactly
people can say, "Oh, well, that's cool because he was thinking of this, but this
Yeah,
was going on in
context.
the world."
Yeah,
Yeah,
in the context. Yeah. Mhm.
love
exactly
it.
Cool
that's what I'm
project.
working. I was gonna actually reach out to you, Steven, about like I need like illustrator on top of that, which means like I'm gonna write down what I was doing, but I need someone who can illustrate that. Like, you know,
Nice. Yeah.
is it called illustration, right? When you have to draw a picture of what I was doing, like
Yep.
me in a
Yes,
car looking at the
Mhm.
window or something
yes.
like that.
Yeah.
Something
Yep.
like I want like the book to go with like images of like what I was doing in that
Oh,
moment
that's
of
cool. So
so that
illustrated
we
too.
so yeah,
Yeah.
so
That's
people
that's
have like
neat.
all kinds of stuff they can look at, like because I've been to Colombia, I've been to Argentina and stuff, and I was and mind you, I'm writing this book while I'm in these countries, so I have thoughts that come into my head that's like it's like even I'm shocked about. Then I'm writing it down and I'm saying, okay, I was in Colombia, I was at the store trying to buy food, and like I was in a line with 10 other people, and like everybody speaking Spanish and I don't understand what's going on, you know. So that's what the book is about, you know. It's about like bringing people to like real life things that
Sure.
I have been going through. So it's like I started writing this book 2023 is when I started writing it, but I stopped it and then I started writing it again, and then 2024 I continue writing it, and I'm like in 2025 now I'm still writing it, so we'll see how it's going to turn out to be.
Oh, cool.
The other book I'm writing, I'm working on, is about mental health. So
Mhm.
this book is basically like this is the book why this is one of the reasons why I'm in grad school. Like what am I learning?
Mhm.
How does family dynamic work? Dimensions of the family, all this stuff. I'm learning a lot in grad school. So I'm trying to not waste that knowledge. I want to put it into like where from my cultural perspective of what's happening and what been happened, and and then do a little bit of research of like, you know, this is like true event things that's happening, and then what can I do to write this, and then to help people in a way when they read my book they can say, hey, I could have done this and I would have been okay, you know. And then
Mhm.
basically you doing things but also getting like you know how my book I Must Succeed, you have I say in like you have to have a journal, you need to write down like what you want to accomplish
Mhm.
and all this other stuff, and then you know you have time to pray, you have time to read, you need time to connect with your family, you need time, like basically self-care kind of thing. So
Mhm.
I'm trying to come up with like a book like that. So
Mhm.
that is one reason why I'm in grad school. So we're just gonna see what it's gonna be about, like what I'm gonna come up with. But I'm writing, like I'm literally writing every single week. I'm on the computer writing.
That is awesome. So, hey, not just one project, you got multiple projects coming. That's fantastic.
and
Yeah,
then
Fascinating projects.
yeah.
and then you got podcast.
Yeah, and the podcast and everything else that you're doing, and like I said, I love your apparel too, because yeah, because we both have a love for lions, and I love how you have a lion in
Yes,
your logo for the African and American movement. I love it. I love it. It's,
I need to get you guys. I need to get you guys some.
yeah.
And and then while you in on we on here like you know right now I made the African in America in a non-profit organization.
Hmm.
So I have my 501c3 right now, because what I'm doing is like the work that I do with the youth and stuff. I'm
Hmm.
trying uh, to do more, because I don't know if I shared with you, but like last year I was working with I mean my soccer camp of summer camp. I had 300 kids sign up for my soccer camp, and
Oh,
wow.
that's
I was
awesome.
working with 300 kids in the camp, and it's only three of us working with them. So this year I was pushed by like the former mayor. He's like my mentor. He's like, you need to become nonprofit. And then other people like, hey Nini, you need to stop doing things on your own. Let other people help you. And I
Hmm.
always tell them like, I don't I don't want to make people I don't want to make people feel like they have to do these things, like they have to donate to me, or they have to, like, we're like, no, but that's not you helping people, so you need people to help you, because
Right,
I done everything by myself with the African in America, and I always invested in my own thing. So I'm used to doing that. Now that I got, like, I was told, like, get a nonprofit and let other people help you at the same time. So I did that. Now I'm just looking forward to, like, just see what I can do with this nonprofit. I'm still learning about it. I don't know really much about the nonprofit stuff, the nonprofit side of it, but I'm out there.
Hmm.
I'm out there. Just wanted to get out there. And if you want to
Right.
visit my website, it's like, you just, all you got to do is just type theafricaninamerica.com. That's it. Like the same brand, the same name it says. You just have to
Hmm.
type that and then put .com, and then you'll find the website of my nonprofit.
Yep, that was my next question. Actually, was yeah,
yes,
where to direct people to find you and support it. So good.
yes, and to support the movement, and you have gear. I mean, they could buy T-shirts, they could buy all kinds of different stuff.
Hmm.
And the good thing is it's in Amazon, so you don't have to worry about waiting for 2 weeks to get your stuff. You get it, you order
Mm,
today, tomorrow it's at your door.
Hmm.
nice,
Yep.
The shirts.
theafricanamerica.com. Theafricanamerica.com, folks, go there. And yeah, definitely support this.
love it.
And is there any other platform information or social media that you would like to listeners to connect with you on, in addition to your website?
In addition to my website, I will just say the podcast. I can share the link here with you guys.
Hmm.
Okay,
And then the hold on, wait a minute.
Yep, because that's a yeah, definitely something I'd encourage people to check out. And
and your
yeah,
movement has definitely gained legs because, yeah, if you type that in, African and America movement, and your name just Nini, yeah, I mean, you're gonna pop
yeah,
up.
oh yeah,
Everything's gonna pop up. Because you're just all over the
It's
place.
true.
I don't know where you get the energy to do this. I would love to
oh
have
yeah,
a tenth of it. It'd be great, but
Uh,
oh no, he's just yeah
I
nonstop.
need an inspirational quote from you like every day. Just when I get up, I'm like, "Here's my Nini quote for the day. I've got to get up and get moving." You know, motivate.
That's not a bad
uh,
idea. Yeah, yeah,
That's
because
what you need to
I,
do. You need to write a book, a whole book of morning
I,
affirmations. So to get people get up motivated.
yep, that's a
thank
good
you.
idea. He
Nini's
can do it.
affirmations.
He can
That,
do it too.
I can, yeah,
I
of
like that.
course. You don't have to say, too much. I'm gonna do that. If I can
I
definitely.
definitely got to
That's,
have
that's
that
it.
book because
Yeah. Yep. Yeah,
Uh,
that'd be awesome.
okay, I shared the
So
link right there, the YouTube
Okay.
for the
You go to
yeah for the
YouTube. It's at
it, yeah
it's the real Yetis.
yeah
So
yeah
ITS, the THE, real, REAL, Yetis, YETIS. And that's going to be at youtube.com.
check
yes.
it out. Check it out.
It is a great show. I have enjoyed the episodes I've watched very much.
Mhm. Definitely have. And, is there any I do wanna do check with you, Holly, because I know you watch the chat pretty close. Did anybody have any questions, from the chat room for Nini? Or is anybody
Um, I didn't see any questions. I've seen a lot of people talk about how, inspiring he was. They're glad they caught the show tonight
Mhm,
because his story is fascinating and that
mhm.
the vamp chat had stated, we're hurting ourselves with our beliefs, stressed out all the time, and that they're going to start looking at it like stress don't exist. They said, I'm going to look
Right.
at things different now. I'm
Yep.
inspired. See, you've already inspired
Yep.
a few people
Right here
just
tonight.
from the tonight's podcast, and I'm going to start looking at that. I'm going to be like, you're making it up. You're making up. It's stress is. It's all in my head. I just need to get up and have a different attitude. And yeah,
Yeah.
because I get in my own head a lot. Stephen knows this. I
Uh-huh.
have ADD, so attention deficit. So I've got like 30 tabs open at all times, and there's a squirrel running around my head and everything because I am easily distracted, and I try to think about too many things and everything I've got to do, and then it's overwhelming, and then it gets me in a panic. So
Let
yeah,
me just
I mean one thing at a time, and now I just need to change my thought to I'm stressing myself out. Stop it.
let
Stop
me
it.
let me just say you're not alone. I ran into so many different people who feel the same way, and like when I tell them about what we just talked about, they like,
Hmm.
what, come again, like, sometimes some people get even like, and I don't like, they get some people, this is some people get
Right.
offended and they actually understand it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
No, I
they
get
get,
it.
they get
But I get it. I mean, I understand where you're coming from. I mean, it clicks something in my head. We do create a lot of our own stresses. Yes, life happens, but life happens to all of us, right?
yes,
We all face death. We all face grieving. We all face,
right.
relationship ending. We all face these injuries. I mean, we all face these things, disease, or there's just a million different things. But as humans, we all face this. You're not alone. You're not the only one that's went through this. Other people have, and
Right.
it's all in how you deal with your circumstance.
100%. That's what it is. Like, even though you a lot of us know it's like, it's not, it's the book, like, nothing is ever new. We know these things. That's the issue. Like, we know these
Hmm.
things happen. We know, we somehow know, even though we tend to not, like, because we human beings, obviously, so we don't really think, oh, it's not gonna happen to me, or not, or I will not see it. But we see these things, either if it's not happening to you, you see it, your partner's happening to it, it's happening to your partner, or it's happening to your brothers and sister, or cousins, or people around in your community. You'll see these things. And one thing I always remind myself is that, like, you know like Holly, you said, like, we all face debt, we all face relationship somehow problem.
Right.
Even if you end up staying together 50 years, 60 years, you will still have relationship problem. There is no
Yep.
relationship where you don't have a problem. It's
Right
just,
on.
yes, if
Mm.
it's like this man I was listening to his like, I say, you either getting into problem, or you are solving a problem. So you
Yeah.
never,
True.
because you never are a problem free, and that's what makes life beautiful, is because we are, I feel like we are created just to solve problem, like, until our last day of this earth, we will always be solving problems. If you're not solving your problems, you may have a kid and you solving their problem, or whatever
Oh
the case
yes.
may be. So
Oh yeah.
we
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we know that one too. Yeah.
so you always be doing something, and that's why like it's not good when you stress about things that you know is gonna happen, or
Mhm.
you know there's things that we don't have any control of it. So what,
Right.
like that we don't have control of, we don't have control of, you can't really control the things that you can't control.
Well, it's like
So
death. You can't control that. You have to face
right,
it.
right,
You don't know when it's going to happen, or when it's going to touch a loved one. It
uh-huh,
happens. You
yes,
live on. You have to deal with it. And we all do. But in that moment, we get in our heads and think we're the only ones that's ever went through this. It's like that with anything. It happens to us. But yeah, you've got to look at it like I'm a human. Bad things are going to happen to me. You know,
uh-huh, uh-huh,
it's not going
uh-huh,
to be it's not going to be great all the time. Eventually bad things are going to happen to me. It's all on how
right,
you deal with it.
100%. And that would be like my message to all the people that are listening. I would just say that stress doesn't exist, but we bring it
Mhm.
into existence, and we do it all the time. Whether
Yep.
you know it or you don't know it, it's happening to us all the time. So I will just say find a way to understand these things, that like when you understand that stress is like something that we bring into existence, then you will find a way to avoid it, to make a, oh, this is actually just normal thing. In my grad school, I had all the students. I was the only one in out of all my American classmates. All of them are saying I was stressed like all this week because my dog needed to take to I needed to take my dog to the vet. My apartment wasn't clean. My clothes was like my, what is it called, like my clothes need to be laundry washed. I got a
Yeah.
schoolwork. I'm just overwhelmed with the stuff, and I'm like looking at them, I'm like, huh, what?
To see, that's me.
Like, wait, you got to do your laundry. Your bedroom is not clean, or like your apartment is not clean, and you got to take your dog to the vet. And then on top of that, oh, I got my cousin is bringing her kids home, so it's like too many things going on at the same time. I don't know how to handle it, and then I'm the one who's like, I will be the one who's saying like, why don't you the ones that you can do first, second, third, and fourth, and then you'll be fine, you know. So
Right.
I don't know. I just look at it like that. So stress doesn't exist. And then the other thing is like, if you are thinking about doing something, don't hold it back, because at the end of the day, the world is built on people doing things.
Hmm.
So
True.
do
Absolutely.
it. Just go ahead and do it. Like, you guys are writing books and you're having podcasts. You did it. There are people who are looking at you and saying, I don't know how Holland Steven did that. You know, you see, like that's the thing. Like they saying that, and but they know they can do that as well.
Hmm.
Right.
You have to have that mind of like, hey, I'm gonna do what I can do and what I
Hmm.
want to do for myself in this life. Because again, like I'm always looking at. I'm always what is it called? I'm always aware of like how my aging is working, like the way I'm aging, right? And I'm looking at myself like, man, I was a kid yesterday. Now I'm an adult. Next thing, I don't know what I'm gonna be. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to do the things that I want to do right now. Because once I get to like certain age, I want to be able to say like, hey, you know what, Nini? I have done a lot of things to help people. Whoever took my message, congratulations to them. And whoever didn't, I did my best, right? Then I don't have to regret on like saying I'm like, at a certain age of my life, like, man, I should have write a book. I should have
Hmm.
this done. I should have done that. So yeah, we face this thing. Just say do the things that you need to do when you need to do it. Don't wait. Don't stress about it. All that. But that's
Right.
pretty much from me.
Well, that's a great note to kind of bring the show to a close here. That is an excellent message, and definitely want to have you back in the near future to update us because you always got great stuff going on. But I just wanted to thank you tonight, Nini, for spending time with
Yes.
us and talking to us about the African and America movement, your books, and all the adventures that you have, and really do appreciate it. And I'll turn it over to Holly to close the show out. But thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, and you guys have a blessed. You guys will definitely hear from me all the time, and you guys are, close friends with me now. And
Yes.
when I got those books out, hopefully you guys gonna be my help on this random thoughts book. I wanna really see that
Oh
random
yeah,
thoughts
that's
Oh,
come out.
100%. And I want to see this affirmation book in the future. I need this affirmation book, Nini. Daily motivations with Nini.
that's right.
We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. We'll make it
All
happen.
right, all right.
All right.
Well,
Thank you, guys.
thank you. Good night, Nini. Thank you so much, hon.
All right. Good night. Good night.
Everybody out there in podcast land, it was a great show. And remember, stress don't exist, you create it. I love that thought. I love the inspiration behind that. Yes, we definitely need to check out more of Nini's work, um, and
Mhm.
check out his podcast. It's phenomenal. I love his podcast. But join us next Wednesday, same place, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. Had another great guest, another great chat. And for the rest of the week, be creative. No stress. Good night.